Today, I'm going to be talking to Julie, and she's a nurse practitioner who takes a holistic approach to health, and she specializes in the gut. And I was lucky enough to have her come into my nutrition course and give a workshop on gut health. She gave so many good tips and so many practical tips, whether you have some minor issues or more issues than that, of ways you can really get started on your own to improve your gut health, and also ways that you can get testing if you need further help. This workshop that she did is part of my nutrition course, which is for my private clients and also for my Healthy for Life membership. A really budget friendly way to get fitness, nutrition, group coaching all in one. So inside my Healthy Life for membership, you can follow a fitness program where you have it laid out for you so that you can start to stay consistent. You have my nutrition course that goes through the basics of nutrition and also has these workshops and specialty modules so you can dive a little deeper into topics. And on top of that, I have weekly group health coaching calls. There's literally so much in this membership. You can't do it all, but that way each person can pick exactly what they need to so that they can start improving their health. So if you guys are interested in it, I want you to check the description down below so you can find out more information about my Healthy for Life membership. Hello and welcome, Julie. I'm so excited to have you here today to talk about gut health because I know this is your specialty. So Julie is a nurse practitioner who specializes in gut health and takes a holistic approach to health. So I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm so excited to be here.
So Julie, tell us what gut health is and why it's important.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's really a term that we hear sort of thrown around a lot, right? Gut health. Like, what does that actually mean? What does it mean to have a healthy gut? So really that term just means that you have a good balance of healthy bacteria, that your gut lining is strong, that your immune system is strong, because a lot of our immune system, up to 80% of our immune system, is sort of housed in our gut lining. And that also you are digesting your food and absorbing nutrients optimally. So that's kind of what it means to have a good and healthy gut. Now, it's really important because some of your listeners may have heard this before, but over 2,000 years ago, Hippocrates said, all disease begins in the gut. And so we have really found that to be true, over time with research and even ongoing research that we're finding out. So it is definitely crucial, just for overall well-being, to have a good, healthy, strong gut. So it's important for your immune system, for brain health, for hormonal balance, and of course for effective digestion and eliminating toxins. So just really important for overall wellness.
Yeah, and I feel like, and you mentioned just a little bit, I feel like there's always more and more research coming out about the gut and how it affects different systems in our body. So it's not just like our stomach, our gut's affecting our brain, our immune system. I know I had some autoimmune stuff starting a couple years ago, and everything I read about autoimmune is gut health. Gut health. You got to fix that first. And so, Julie, could you give us your top tip? I know there's probably lots of them on a way someone could start to improve their gut health.
Sure. Well, actually, I'm gonna give two, but I'll make it really quick. So I would say two of the top most important things are what we put into our body, right? I would say that's number one. I mean, what you're eating. We can't expect to have a good, strong, healthy gut if we're not fueling our body with at least mostly healthy things. No one's perfect. We're not expecting you to be perfect. I'm not perfect. But really, no matter where you're at, I think the first step is like take inventory. Okay, where am I at? Am I eating out all of the time? Am I eating mainly processed foods? Or am I eating some meals at home, but I'm still, going through the drive-through some? Start with a simple step of, cook one more of your meals or eat one more of your meals at home next week. And then you just build on that and sort of grow that habit. And what you'll find is the more whole foods that you eat, the more that you eliminate, some of the highly inflammatory foods like sugar and oils, seed oils and hydrogenated oils, you start to feel so much better. And that's a motivator for you to, continue to incorporate more of those healthy foods. So I think I just had to say one thing, it would definitely be what we're putting into our body. I will throw in one other thing that we dismiss a lot, and this was part of my healing process, and one of the reasons that it took me a long time to heal my gut, and that is stress. And, I know when we hear that word, some people are like, oh my gosh, I mean, stress is everywhere. We all have stress, and that's true, we do. It's about trying to learn some stress management techniques and, tools to use when you do get stressed, because yes, we live in a stressful environment. The world is stressful. Every day there are going to be things, but it's really how you handle that. And stress is one thing that will keep your gut from healing every single time. So I had to throw that in there because it's so, so important.
Yeah, I love that. And I am definitely a person that feels stress in my gut.
Me too.
Yeah. So that is definitely a big thing and often gets ignored a lot in health in general. But I loved how you really broke it down to keep it simple, sort of getting rid of that all or nothing mindset when you're changing stuff and just that focus on whole foods. Because if you do have something more complicated going on, you probably need help. But if things aren't too bad, just that focus of whole foods is really a great start. So, Julie, I also know fermented foods are big and is like a natural probiotic source. So, are fermented foods like kombucha good for our gut health?
Yes, they absolutely are. Now, I will say that with the caveat that sometimes people will try kombucha or other fermented foods like sauerkraut or kimchi or fermented veggies, something like that, and they may have some digestive upset. Okay. Well, that's because those have a lot of probiotics in them. And if your body is not used to a lot of probiotics, and maybe your gut health isn't really strong, you kind of have to work your way up. So if you have always been like, oh, well, I like the taste of kombucha, I want to incorporate it, but, oh, I don't know, it maybe doesn't agree with me as much, just start with small amounts, like half a cup a day, because you're getting good probiotics. So there's nothing harmful in that unless perhaps you were getting something that had a lot of sugar. So you do always want to look at the labels. But otherwise, yeah, that's very good for the gut. And so if you're not able to tolerate it, I would just encourage you to start with smaller increments or smaller amounts and increase incrementally.
Yeah, perfect. And I have heard that before too, even with like some probiotic supplements you can get. If your gut's really off, it may cause more upset. So I like that really with anything, starting small and then increasing it and working on these other pieces of your gut too. So what are some of the worst foods that people can eat for their gut health? I know you already mentioned sugar. What else is there?
Yeah, so I would say the top ones that you want to really work, again, this is a process. Don't feel overwhelmed and go, oh my gosh, I eat all of those things. I'm never going to be able to, tackle this. That's not the mindset you want to have. It's a process. And even when you develop these habits of eating cleaner and eliminating these foods, you're never going to be perfect. I just like to think of it like, well, if I did eat some processed sugar one day, I can always tell it doesn't make me feel great. And so I don't get down and go, oh, well, I'm going to just continue to do that. I go, tomorrow's a new day and my body's going to be reset. I'm going to start over. And that way you can stay more on track, most of the time. So sugar's a big one. Yes. Anything that's processed that has seed oils and hydrogenated oils, those are extremely inflammatory. So you want to avoid those things. The other two things that I would say to avoid, and I know people don't like to hear this, but gluten is really a big one. And it's not that everyone has celiac or, is completely gluten intolerant. It's that we know that our food is not manufactured, is not grown the way that it used to be. A lot of gluten has been sprayed with pesticides and glyphosate. So there's probably more to it than just the gluten, but we do also know through research that gluten is a leading cause of leaky gut. And so it is certainly not great for the gut. I will say, in some of and I think maybe we'll talk about this if we get to it, but in some of the testing that we can do for the gut, we look at gluten sensitivity and if you're making antibodies to gluten or not. When we see that that's happening, there's massive inflammation in the body. Now, that doesn't mean that you can never, ever eat gluten. So what I usually tell people, and I'm a prime example of it. When I tested my gut 5 years ago, my gluten sensitivity marker was extremely elevated, and I knew it bothered me. I mean, I knew if I ate any, I just didn't feel good. I would have headaches and brain fog and, all the digestive symptoms. Once I healed my gut, now I can eat gluten on occasion. I choose not to do it on a regular basis because I know that it's not great for me. But if I go to a special occasion and there's cake or pizza or something, and I make the choice to have that, I'm not getting sick and just feeling horrible like I used to. And that's because now, my gut is strong. So I would just encourage people, you will not believe how much better you will feel if you just try eliminating some of these things. And then the last one I would say is alcohol. And that's one that really nobody wants to hear either, because, and I'm not saying you should never, take a drink of alcohol. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you're drinking a lot, multiple days during the week, multiple drinks at a time, it's not doing anything really good for your gut. So maybe cut back on that some. But those would be my top ones that are not good for the gut.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And thanks for sharing those tough ones. They're definitely hard, and some people don't want to hear that. But again, I love how you sort of take that, get rid of that all or nothing approach, because I think that really stalls so many people from improving their health, is they don't think they can do it all the time, so they don't even try. And so with my autoimmune issues, I have given up gluten and dairy because, again, when you look at autoimmune, those two pop up all the time. And it's hard to go places and not eat, but after a couple of years, it gets a little easier. And really, I'm eating healthier and more nutrient dense because for the most part, stuff that is made with gluten in our country is not healthy or nutrient dense. So I know in the workshop that you did as part of my nutrition course, you went over your 5-step protocol to help heal your gut. So could you just real briefly say how to help fix your gut health?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're referring to, Michelle, is I just take a functional medicine approach. And if you ever look this up, you'll find lots of information about it online. It's called the 5 R's of gut healing. And so the first one is to remove any pathogens, stressors, anything that is negatively affecting the gut. The second one is to replace things like digestive enzymes, bile acids, hydrochloric acid, things that you may be missing and needing for effective digestion. The third one is to reinoculate with probiotics, prebiotics, and that includes foods that have good probiotics and prebiotic fiber. The fourth one is repair. So that's about healing the gut lining and repairing leaky gut. And then the fifth one is rebalancing. And this is one that is really just ongoing, because this is paying attention to lifestyle choices, looking at not only what we're eating, but even how we approach eating. Are we eating in a relaxed environment? Are we chewing our food enough? 30 to 40 times a bite is what is recommended. What's your stress level like? How are you sleeping? How much are you exercising? Are you moving your body every day, or are you actually over exercising and putting more stress on your body? So that's the process. The first step really to understanding what's going on, if you are experiencing a lot of symptoms, is to get a proper diagnosis. Because otherwise we're really just kind of shooting in the dark if we don't know exactly what's going on in your gut. And that's why I'm a big fan of testing. I mean, I love to test. I'm using a stool test. I love the GI map. That's what actually helped me get rid of all of my gut issues once I understood what was going on. And so otherwise, what we often do is we stay on this hamster wheel. We try this supplement or try this change in diet or eliminating this food. And maybe we get a little better, but we never really get full healing because we don't know exactly what we're targeting. So I would just encourage anybody that's listening, if you are having a lot of gut symptoms, to work with a practitioner that can test you so that you can get an effective protocol to really heal your gut.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And in the workshop you did in my nutrition course, it was super helpful. And I even learned some more tips that I was incorporating, and a couple other people who got to be live on the call and ask you questions. I know they enjoyed that too. So Julie also does this testing herself and she can do it virtually. So, can you share where people can reach you and maybe if you have a freebie or anything people can check out?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can my website and my Instagram and Facebook are all the same. You can also email me, and that is just julie@julieannwellness.com. And I'm happy to. I offer 15-minute free discovery calls. So if you have questions and you're like, I don't know if this is right for me, I don't know if I need this, just reach out to me, send me a DM, send me an email. We'll hop on the phone and you can tell me a little bit about your history, your symptoms, and we'll just talk through it and go from there. Again, this is really what helped me heal my gut, after having 20 years of gut issues. So I'm super passionate about helping others do the same. So I'd love to chat with you. Also, you mentioned I do have a freebie. If you go onto my website, which again is julieannwellness.com, you'll see a freebie that there is a free ebook on there around how to improve your gut health.
Perfect. Well, thanks for sharing and thanks for coming on this podcast and also being part of my nutrition course. I love having these other experts in that really know more about these specific areas and really just helping to get wellness, helping everybody to start that first next step in their health.
Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me.
So thanks so much for joining me today. Hope that you guys enjoyed this episode and really found at least one takeaway that you can start implementing. I encourage you to head to my Facebook group, Healthy Beyond 40, and tell us what that one takeaway is. Tell us what you're going to do. Make a post in there and hold yourself accountable. And if you want more help, I encourage you to check out my Healthy for Life membership in the description below, where you can start to piece together your health, where you can get your fitness, where you can get your nutrition, and you can get group coaching all at a budget-friendly price. So check that out below and hope to hear from you guys.